The story today in the baby HARO murder case, the incredibly heartbreaking story of Emmanuel HARO. His parents, Jake and Rebecca HARO, pled guilty today, or not guilty, excuse me, not guilty today in court. This is just a harrowing, heartbreaking case. Here we have the breaking news on ABC 7.
Moments ago, the parents of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel HARO pleaded not guilty to the murder of their son. Jake and Rebecca HARO maintained their innocence. Emmanuel remains missing. Prosecutors say he likely died from long-term child abuse by his parents. The HAROs claim Emmanuel was kidnapped from a parking lot in Yucaipa 3 weeks ago.
Obviously, I don't think, other than maybe the delusional Jake and Rebecca HARO, maybe one other person, believe the story that he was kidnapped and the whole thing. They must have some pretty substantial evidence that Emmanuel was abused in his short 7 months of life, but we'll keep you updated on the latest on that. Here's another one. Bill Asaley in the U.S. Justice Department, Southern California Division, filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit accusing Edison of igniting the Eaton and Fairview fires. Another one that the evidence was pretty clear that has been shown out there has been almost without refute that was going to come. They filed a $77 million lawsuit against Edison. We shall see how that one works out, but they're seeking damages from them for their costs in fighting the Eaton and Fairview fires. We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at the CDC. Famous words from Robert Kennedy Jr. at the Senate hearings today. He was flat on top of it. He didn't back down. He didn't back up. He acted like one of the retarded population, said, bring it. And that's why I believe Trump's questioning the whole COVID con. It's this guy right here, Robert Kennedy Jr. He took he's good. He gives punches. He knows how to blow back. Here he is telling it like it is. We were lied to, so I call it the COVID con. We were flat lied to. Here's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Health and Human Services Secretary, the Senate hearings today.
COVID-19 was politicized. Yeah, the whole process was politicized. Senator, we were lied to about everything. We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission, they prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start. It wasn't true because that's what the animal studies and the clinical trials showed.
How you really didn't have to go any further than that. You shouldn't have. Right there. They knew. I think that's why Trump came out with that tweet saying, hey, Pfizer, release the documents. Are you blowing smoke up my rear end? Or can you prove all the stuff you've been saying? And Robert Kennedy Jr. did the same thing today at the hearings. We'll get more into that as we get later on into the show, but that was the 1000%. Robert Kennedy Jr. is badass. That's it in a nutshell. Dude was doing some donuts and we're driving. Ontario man has now been charged near Chino. Here's some of the reports of it. You're going to see the truck as it makes a big dido of that in the parking lot. There you go. Somebody gets out. And there you see we're doing the donuts right in the middle of the street. The cops did find them. This is what's dangerous about this. I mean, there's only one guy whoever he dropped off, and it gets back in the unit. I don't know what that's all about, but the Chino cops did track him down, and they did take him into custody. And these clowns that pull this stuff off, they deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law because they're dangerous to everybody. Got to give a big shout out to the Hemet cops. 6526 calls for service. 8 firearms recovered. 13 stolen vehicles reported. 12 recovered. Pedestrian check stops. 249 written reports. 1,063 traffic collisions. 194 traffic stops. 728 traffic citations. 191. So you only get about a 1 in 4 chance to get a ticket if you get stopped. Drug violations, 62. DUI arrests, 23. And total arrests, 316. There's your Hemet Crime Blotter report. This one is great. ICE arrests 10 criminal illegal alien convicted sex offenders in California. And you don't want ICE, all you that are waving the flags or that, and they're doing this, and they're snatching people about the streets. ICE arrests 10 criminal illegal alien convicted sex offenders in California. Bring more of them in. Used to be the Jet Drive-In, then became Steve Burgers on Hemlock. They're just south of Sunnymead Boulevard. Here's a little bit of nostalgia from Moval. That thing's been there, what, 70, 80 years? Well, ever since I can remember. Still going strong now as Steve's Burgers. A little bit of IE history, as they say. Here's another one. Our idiotic, stupid state legislature is going to have mandatory trash bin inspections. So the government now wants to, I kid you not, they're going to be going through your trash. Holy bleeping cow. Senate Bill 1383 is the one. We're going to have to update this, but there's the first one to click off. Senate Bill 1383. Alarming Newsom rumors swirl as Dems get a taste of their own medicine as California vanishes from the radar. I hope your little fantasies, those of you in the smarter half of the population, over little Gabby, I hope it's worth a S-hole of a state, a future that is bleak. And again, for the no balls men that you drug along with you, the rest of us are paying the price for this. Cal State professor indicted for allegedly hurling tear gas canister at federal agents. Yes. This goofball, Anthony Caravello, a Cal State professor, but that was at the illegal weed grow, I believe, out there in Somas or in South Ventura County area. And he's hurling tear gas cans at the federal agents. Well, now he's been charged. As I heard it, Bill Assail in the U.S. Attorney's Office originally charged him as felony. Then they went to the grand jury with indictment and cut it down to misdemeanor. The grand jury came back and said, no, you're charging him with a felony. So Bill Assail, the evil Bill Assail, was trying to drop the charges just to get it out. The grand jury said no. The grand jury said no. We're indicting him on federal charges. Prepare your case, Mr. Assail. Things are turning around optimistically. Maybe we'll make some headway. Here's the Cajon service station. This is right as you drop into Muscoy back in 1920s, in the 20s. The old Richfield, which became Arco. Isn't that cool? That's absolutely cool. Well, Gilmore Oil Company was, I think, affiliated with Richfield. Gilmore was here in Southern California based, as was Arco, I believe. Well, was it? I think Richfield was, and it became Arco Atlantic Richfield. It merged. All that history. But yeah, isn't that cool? Right at the base, you come out of the Cone Pass there in Muscoy just before you get to San Bernardino. Some cool history from the IE. This is a good one. Rubio promises more strikes in Venezuela cartels. We're not going to sit back anymore. No, we're not. We're done with this stuff. Ain't going to happen. They did release the strikes on that boat that killed, what, 11 Trende de la Agra, or however the hell you say it, gang members. Here we go. There you see it. As it's going through, you're seeing the boat coming through, probably with the illicit drugs from the Chinese Communist Party. This basically is controlling this whole thing. They subcontract this to the Venezuelan and Mexican gangs as you're doing. There you go. You see the bomb hit it, and then poof. They are now shark food out in the Atlantic Ocean. So there you go. Good job, Donald J. and crew. Of course, Donald J. had something to say about this.
Benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. And 275,000, and that number is now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job. And what that's doing is making the system.
So that's another good thing about, we're getting rid of the gangs. We're getting the illegal sex offenders out. We're cleaning the Social Security rolls of illegals that are on there collecting benefits that we're paying for. Pew Research, what, has determined almost 1.5 million in 8 months have self-deported. So if it keeps at this pace, in the first year of the Trump administration, we're going to have over 2 million self-deported. Not the ones we've deported. Not U.S. force through all the various means, But 2 million are slated to self-deport by the end of the first year of the Trump administration. Here's the one. Here's Trump commenting on him getting the drug cartel dealers getting blown out of the water.
When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago. And our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it. We didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing. And you'll see. And there's more where that came from.
Yes, more where that came from. This is what we voted for. Those who you love democracy, here it is. Your democracy brought you Donald J. Trump in its purest form. One more on the COVID con. It's Jay Bhattacharya on with Fredo on News Nation.
Well, first, what is your take on the president's take that, hey, the companies tell me that Operation Warp Speed was the biggest difference maker positively in the pandemic, and I want everybody to understand the data the way they do. What do you think of that?
I think it's really healthy to have transparency about what the drug companies that were involved in Operation Warp Speed know. It's also really healthy to open up a discussion, an honest scientific discussion, uncensored, on the evidence on the COVID vaccine. I think I was just listening to your last guest talk. I mean, he's absolutely right. A lot of people have lost trust in all vaccines as a consequence of essentially misstatements. Well, I don't know what you want to call them, including things like, the vaccine stops you from getting and spreading COVID. Remember all the mandates, Chris, that were in place. I mean, I think that kind of level of distrust I've never in my long career in public health have seen before.
Never seen it, and we know we'll get into this with the whole JFK or RFK Senate hearings on that. And that's basically why Bobby Jr. said I had to fire all the CDC or 1,000 people. And we're doing this. And you senators pontificating are coming up here who are in the pockets of Pfizer and Moderna, like Pocahontas and BS Bernie. Oh, it's going to be fun. New millionaire in River City. There's a ticket sold at the Stater Brothers in Riverside worth nearly $1 million. So we're going to have a new millionaire on that in Riverside. I hope you know them or you're related to them. If you're not them, maybe you'll cash in a little bit. Somebody's cashing in on almost $1 million ticket. There was another one, I think, up in Northern California. We'll have a lot more on the rest of the hour on today's show on this terrific, tumultuous, and most of all, thunderous Thursday. It's going to be fun. Yes, it is. It's going to be real fun. Every day, the news just seems like it just keeps getting bigger and better every day. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. It was 4 or 5 hours. I just loved the Senate hearings with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Going back at those senators on both sides of the party, you can clearly see how you want to stay it. Establishment, uniparty, the ones that are bought and paid for. Bernie Sanders, Pocahontas, Cassidy, who I didn't catch. He might have had some questions. The few that stood up for us, like Rand Paul, that stood strong with us, the unclean, and that took all the brickbats over the whole COVID con, just like Bobby Jr. has, but he doesn't back down. That's one, as I call us, the retarded half of the population. But that's what being an XX male man is all about. You don't back up, especially when you're right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I believe, is why that X post or truth post came out. It was like in 16 or 17 in Trump 1.0. And although Kennedy was not part of the cabinet or secretary, Trump and Bobby Jr. went back a long ways. So Jr. was over there, Trump saying, you know, you need to look into all this vaccine and the pharmaceuticals and them buying that off in the healthcare and everything else. Trump said, okay. So he gets on the phone to the drug companies and this and that, like Pfizer and Moderna, and says, hey, you want to, because Bobby said, have them prove me wrong. He said, if they can prove me wrong, I'll come out and say, shake hands with them, have a press conference, whatever. This is back in 17, and they would not meet with him. And of course, Trump was scrambling like a lot in 1.0 because of a lot of things. But, you know, and then the COVID con came and he got talked into a lot of stuff, I believe, that he normally wouldn't have. And that's what that truth post was all about. Hey, Pfizer, transparency, accountability. You've been blowing smoke up my rear end telling me how great all this vaccine was and saved billions of lives and saved humanity from extinction on Earth and the whole rigmarole. So let's get it. Is it true? Release the documents. And it's absolutely maybe one of the greatest, maybe marked at one of the greatest turning points in our history, especially Trump 2.0. Nobody so far has backed up. Thune's over there holding up guys like Assaley from permanently getting appointed who just filed charges against Edison, against the nutty professor who threw tear gas at federal agents and so on. Should be confirmed like Ali Habia or whatever her name is back in New Jersey. These cats they've been used to running the roost all over. It's no different than what Newsom's doing with that, with telling all the BS. And we ran a little bit of the clip of, I think it was in the Daily Caller or something. Even the rats are getting nervous about this stuff. The establishment Republicans are getting nervous about this stuff coming out. As Jay Bhattacharya pointed out with Fredo, and he's the guy, he was signer of the Great Barrington Declaration that said, you know, well, were we about 6 months into this COVID deal? And they said, wait a minute. Something just ain't right. And now he's head of National Institute of Health, NIH. Kennedy's head of HHS. And a lot of people are shaking in their proverbial boots, and I'm putting it kindly. Well, let's put it the Ditch Bank Okie way. they're pissing in their pants, if not crapping in them. Because it's this. Our health is whatever. Ever since Obamacare, and it was going to fix everything, we're much sicker. That's just 10 years or 12 years ago. It's going to fix everything. We went through the COVID. Oh, you get the vax. Practically everything they said. Oh, if you get the vax, you can't get or spread the disease. Now, after you've had 37 vaccinations and you're still getting COVID, no, let's not even get into the turbo cancers that are showing up or the myocarditis or whatever the hell it is. We're sick and getting sicker. We're fat and getting fatter. Our health is going to hell. For the most part. You got to work really hard to try and get some food and keep yourself healthy in this day and age. It's not as easy as it was. I didn't run the pictures from the 40s when they were in the 20s at the Richfield station there at Cajon, to the 50s in LA. I got some pictures of that. To the 80s or 90s. San Diego Pier at the beach, at the boardwalk. Look at it. Find me people that are obese, fat. No, you don't see it. It's very rare. The people that actually had a genetic condition that makes, that they just hold excess weight, it's like 1.2% of the population or something. Now, I don't agree with everything Junior says all the time. And, he gets way out on the limb, which I do too at times. But sometimes you got to do that to push the envelope. And that's what this is, I believe, why the testosterone's going down in men and the whole thing. You got a bunch of, a majority of them are weenies out there, won't say or do anything. Won't stand up like if Pocahontas, the senator, please don't hurt me, Miss Pocahontas. Or Ron Wyden, holy cow. It's going to be, these are the positive things we're looking at. Like this, blowing the Tren de la Agra gang members out of the water. 10 illegal alien sex predators arrested. Assailee filing the suits on the professor and Edison for the fires. Let's get it.
20 seconds, 20 seconds.
Jesse said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMT 1490 in a few seconds. We'll carry on with this and more on this Practice Friday. Check out the Real Don Steele Boss Radio.
2 seconds, here we go.
See that.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that sometimes comes on, sounds like it's on cocaine or something there at the end. It's going at warp speed. Anyway, on the Mighty Red 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, and the Roy Luckert channel. Lots of good things happening today. First, the big news coming up. The parents a baby Emmanuel Haro pled not guilty to the murder of the 7-month-old from Cabazon. Man, can they just tell us what happened? Give up on the he was kidnapped story out of Ukaipa. Maybe there's a slight possibility we may show some mercy for your soul. And I'm just saying a slight possibility. But if you continue down this road, this is my opinion, Jake and Rebecca, and it's found out that you guys were guilty and the district attorney of Riverside can prove his case, and the evidence that they say they have that you abused that poor little child for 7 months till he was dead. In my view, there could be no punishment. There could be no punishment that you could pay the price for that. And I'm dead freaking serious. So my plea to Jake and Rebecca, just come clean. We all need to know, in order for anyone, especially, his other relative, I know his grandparents and I'm sure other relatives and friends and that, and plus the whole community is just like heartbroken over this. So just say what happened. And then we'll pick it up from there. Our U.S. attorney out here in CAA, Bill Saley, filed suit against Edison for $77 million in damages for the federal government's costs, and because they say they ignited the Eaton and Fairview fires, which were the ones I think up there in the Ventura area and Altadena area. So get after it, Billy Asaley. And John Thune, Senator, get up there and confirm Asaley, Habana, and the others, the hundreds of Trump officials that need to be confirmed. Get off your dead rear end up there, and don't be a frickin' Mitch McConnell. Stuff is getting beyond frustrating. They're going to be looking at your trash. We had that earlier. Yes, they got a bill up there. They're going to be scurrying through your trash in California. AB 1383. Have we had enough nutocracy going on here? It's beyond the pale. I want to get back to the hearings because this, and I'm going to say the closest guy in the cabinet, in Trump's inner circle, that at least from the standpoint that's got the all-around guts, moxie, I ain't going to back down. I'm going to tell you the way it is. It's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He took it from them all. We played a couple of the clips earlier in the net version. But we're the sickest country in the world. That's why we had to fire 1,000 plus at the Center for Disease Control. We had Jay Bhattacharya, who signed on to the Great Barrington Declaration with Fredo. He's a calmer guy, but you need all that. Scholarly from Stanford. He's actually, I think wasn't he an epidemiologist, which deals with all that crap. saying they lied to us. They lied to us all the time. That's the clip we run it. That's what Bobby said at the hearings. They frickin' lied to us. You can't get if you get 20, you get the vax, you can't get it, you can't spread it. Oh, after 27 vaxes and you still got your 38th time in getting COVID, well, you know. Or the social distancing, or the masks, or everything else. You got to stay in your home. You're going to kill grandma. Their credibility is totally freaking shot. That's why Junior's up there, and he is. Get rid of him. Whoever recommended that ding dong they had to fire from the CDC after a month. And that's why I say Bobby's got it. He can identify BS. I mean, he's been around it from the highest levels, from a kid. His dad was attorney general, senator from New York. His uncle was president, senator from New York and president. Was in the White House as a kid, all the way up from the Kennedy Democratic dynasty family. First clip we got is he's up there with Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, who's an absolute 111% psycho chick. See if it will.
In this job,
You're going like this.
is you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
Dollars.
Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy first.
Question is everyone who wants it. That was your promise.
I know I did. I never.
If everyone could get the dang thing for free, and not for free, we're paying for it. I paid for a vaccine that is stupid. They haven't proven. Now, if you want to buy it yourself, if you think Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson or Moderna is that, I don't care if you get 3 shots of frickin' of that a day. I don't want to pay for something stupid. I don't want to pay for your health care when it all goes haywire. I should not have to pay for it. Nobody should have to pay for it but you. It's a choice you make. But they will continue. Pocahontas' second biggest contributor gets contributions, almost $1 million, like BS Bernie Sanders and the whole crew. From what? Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. We got 72, like with this vaccine. Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis and the Surgeon General said, we're going to make it, we're going to make it totally voluntary vaccines to get your kid in school. They don't have to have 72 vaccines. 72! Now, I'm not a big believer in vaccines. I think, like probably chicken pox or polio or a few. What was it, 8 years ago that you only had to have 8? Or whatever it was. I think when I went to school, they only had 1 or 2. It was like polio and chicken pox, I think. I don't even think I got either one. I don't remember. But it was just a voluntary thing then. And they're going back to that and they're having that. It's because of the distrust. Whether it was Fauci or Pocahontas or Bernie Sanders or Kasich or all these clowns. Why are they grilling Bobby Jr., who was telling the truth? Or Jay Bhattacharya? Why ain't they got Pfizer's ass up there? They should have them up there every day. They should be subpoenaing every frickin' record from those drug companies that conned most people, not only in the United States, but worldwide into this stuff. Here's Bobby Jr. with Mark Warner, Senator, a-hole.
As you're saying, the Biden administration politicized the data. Go back to what Cantwell just said. Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Graf. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Kaus.
So, Chairman, the Secretary of Health, you're saying the Biden administration politicized all the data? Go back to what Cantwell just said. Surgeon.
As Bobby said, they fired everyone in the CDC back in the COVID con days that were questioning anything that was. If you just said, maybe we should take a pause and look at it, you were out the frickin' door. Wuhan lab, Rand Paul was on that, and the gain of function research, everything else. No, we weren't doing gain of function research. The F word kept saying. Well, okay, you changed the name of it, Rand Paul said, but it was still the same thing. No, we never did that.
In general.
It's and they wonder why we don't trust them. Even the ones now that got their jab. I'd be really pissed if I got that. If I took the clot shot and then this came out. Talk about hopping mad. You get mad about ICE arresting illegal criminals or charging California professors throwing tear gas at law enforcement officers. You're not mad about getting lied to about something that may be shortening your life a bunch? Please explain that to me. You 80% sheeples that took that didn't have enough balls to stand up, that didn't have enough balls to go out when they said, lock down in your house. Because I know, I drove all around here from Beaumont to Redlands to Ontario, back up through Riverside to Moreno Valley. And I bet you I passed 3 cars and I think 2 of them were cops when they said lockdown. All you ones that sat there and I cannot believe why you're not marching in the streets with pitchforks and torches over this. Here's Bennett and Bobby Jr.
Are you saying, Senator,
moving the Titanic?
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire.
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here.
You're evading that question.
I'm asking the questions.
Mr.
Kennedy.
Question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers over the United States of America who deserve so much better.
Yeah. Bennett from Colorado. Yes. As parents, teachers, kids, why did you lock down their schools over a con? Why did you take their future away from them? Why did you endanger their health, Bennett? That's a question you won't answer because you're a chicken bleep piece of crap. Because you took the money because it put you in power. And now you're still pointing the finger at the people who stood up, who stood strong and said the emperor had no clothes, like frickin' Michael Bennett. Man, I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't know what's going to, I mean, if this isn't going to motivate people, this dude looks like he's darn near a cadaver. Ron Wyden. He's been in the Senate for almost 30 years from Oregon. another sanctimonious, self-righteous con man. Here we go.
Enacting an agenda that I think is fundamentally cruel and defies common sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I got a reply? Or Senator, you've sat in that chair for how long? 20, 25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing. You never asked the question why it's happening. Why is this happening? Today, for the first time in 20 years, we learned that infant mortality has increased in our country. It's not because I came in here. It's because of what happened during the Biden administration that we're going to end.
I'm going to let Senator.
Yes, that's the way it should be said. 25, 30, whatever it is, 20 years, Ron Wyden. Infant mortality up 76%, which Bobby's been talking about for almost this whole time. And you're going to blame it on the guy who told you? The hubris of that is so far off the freaking chart that it's not even funny. I don't know. I really don't. We will have, hopefully, a day of reckoning. I think they're all quaking in their boots. And they should be. They should be quaking in their boots. Because they've been the leaders of making this happen.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you.
And I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Here. 1,000 is just the first off the block. And they should be fired. Practically everyone that was in there and in the federal government and went along with this. Look at our military. They made healthy young men and women take that stupid shot. They're still trying to mandate it for kids to get into school. And as Bobby said, we're the sickest country in the world. Obamacare's made us sicker. Bowing down to these so-called experts or follow the science or any more of this ridiculous crap that we've had to endure. It's more and more and more becoming clearer and clearer who the enemy really is. We need to flush out, exterminate, fumigate all of this. And it just isn't in the District of Criminals. Comes clear to Moreno Valley, California, across the coast where I'm at. to Fargo, North Dakota, to Houston, Texas, and all points in between. It's happening in your city, your town, your schools. Your teachers are doing this to your kids. Cops and firefighters have been financing these politicians and been shoving this ass down your throat. It's about time all of us started joining together and telling the truth. You're either for us or against us. The line is clearly drawn in the sand, and we're going to find out where everybody's standing. I hope the majority is standing for what's right. Because if we don't, you're not going to like the alternative, I guarantee you. You think this what you just seen, or let's just take the COVID con or all that, or the defund the police or the whole thing. It's just a slight preview of what's coming if you don't stop it. We're never going to capitalize on this past 8 months where you've seen tremendous turnarounds. And seeing things start to turn in a positive direction. Again, like I said, we're in the first minute of the first quarter of a 4-quarter, 60-minute game. We're just in the warm-up stages because we've been getting embattleized by this for years. We're like 0-72. Now we finally got a chance where we can win the game. And we better not let go of it. For any reason, if you have any sort of heart and soul left or in you, you better grab the bull by the horns and say, you know what, buddy, it's either you or me. And that's really where we're at. I hope people are up to the challenge. I hope we're all on the winning side of this for everyone, so we don't have to endure this sort of nonsense ever again. Hit some of the local genre before we peel out of here for today. The old 1880s schoolhouse area that was once the heart of the rural area. Come enjoy the pumpkin painting and local history scavenger hunt and more at the old San Timoteo Schoolhouse there between Banning, Movell, and Redlands. They're on San Timoteo Road. Check that out. Riverside. Redlands police had DUIs, carjacking, street takeovers, and everything else in their crime report. Let's keep up the good work. $16.2 million iPhone, iPad scam involved Chinese nationals living in Corona. You don't think it's in your town. You don't think it's here. You think it's somewhere else. Or you think it's a Trendy Lager gang that got blown out of the water there in the Atlantic. No, it's in the inland. It's in your town. It's in your neighborhood. It's probably in your block. A monument for Corona. They need your ideas. You saw the white pickup. Who's doing the donuts and everything out there in Chino where the man was arrested doing that. Of course, parents of missing baby EMMANUEL HARO plead not guilty in murder case of that. Day of Remembrance, 9/11's coming up. That's just one of the things planned by Riverside Police Department and the city of Riverside, of course. They're going to be digging through your trash. Mandatory trash bin inspections are coming. AB 1383 California legislature. Tell them not no, but heck no. Cucumbers are really good for memory. Someone stuck one up my friend's rear end 30 years ago, and he still remembers the iNewsWire meme of the day. That should do it on that happy note. No, we really do in this Practice Friday. What we don't want to do, what we shouldn't do, just because we're seeing some momentum, we're seeing some victories, we're seeing things change. Now's not the time to give up or back up, take some solace from Trump, Bobby Jr., maybe even me. Let's knuckle down and get after it more. That's a wrap today. Take us out, Jesse. That'll do it for today. But as we usually say at this time, it's mandatory you're back here in when? 23 hours wide. You hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
And we're done. All right. Have a great night.
You got it.